So with regard to food management, the first thing I was told to do by my trainer was not to change anything, was to simply log, or rather measure, the food intake in terms of calorie and in terms of the timing of that intake during the day and during the week. And after that, I realized that there were a couple of easy wins that I could do when I embarked on the change. The first was that I was consuming 40% of my daily calories in the first half and 60% in the second half, which obviously does not work in terms of digestion and weight loss. So the first thing I did is I flipped it to the other way around, 60 and 40. Only with the calorie deficit day to day is when we can have a weight loss. I also increased my water intake, especially in the first half of the day. And that was obviously a much better idea because it kept my stomach engaged, gave me the energy, and also reduced the water retention, which would typically happen in the second half of the day. I also learned how to improve my carbs intake. I overall reduced the carb intake, but I especially reduced the simple carbs intake such as white bread. And instead, I replaced that with complex carbs which are very beneficial such as steel cut oats. And when it comes to alcohol consumption, I would say it requires a lot of management. We all enjoy alcohol. It's a social activity. We shed inhibitions, it makes us happier, and that's the purpose of existing, right? But at the same time, we must be aware of its negative aspects, especially to do with fat burning, etc. When we consume alcohol, it's a toxin. All the energy of the body goes in trying to remove that toxin from the body, and therefore does not go in towards digestion and assimilating the nutrients from the food we're eating, and that just stores. So fat starts storing when it should not. So I have a couple of tips for us to have a win-win situation. Here are the tips that worked for me in terms of alcohol management and consumption. The first was that I moved out of cocktails because cocktails have sugar in them, and that adds to the problems. So I switched to plain spirits or wine. I love wine. And the second thing I did was that I reduced the quantity, and reduced the quantity in terms of I just switched from larger glasses to smaller glasses. This is quite a neat trick because we kind of fool our body and our nervous system by having just a smaller glass. And in between those, the intake, I would drink water as well. And the final tip I would say is that whenever we're having a night out and we want to enjoy ourselves, we should tank up on protein before going to drink. And then enjoy our drinks. It has a double benefit, is that we are not snacking while we are having our drinks, and we are not so hungry because we ate before. And after that, we can come back at midnight or 2 o'clock and have a light snack as well. The next day, we are in far better shape. So in the middle of my transformation journey, I had kind of plateaued. I had made a lot of improvements in my food and my training, but I wasn't making further progress in the reduction of the weight and reduction of the fat. So my trainer introduced me to the concept of intermittent fasting, now popularly known as IF, which is nothing but keeping a gap of 16 hours between dinner and breakfast. So I was quite scared whether I'll be able to do it because I was conditioned to eating at a shorter gap, like for say 8 hours or 10 hours. But I said I'll give it a shot on a day when I could eat earlier the evening before. I did that. It was a bit of a challenge in the 13th, 14th hour, but I persisted. I drank water, read a book, listened to music, whatever. And then I did it. I felt very good. I got encouraged. I did it 3-4 times. Simply after 3-4 times, I realized that I lost those stubborn kilos and I emerged victorious. So I finally said hello to being mellow and bye to being high.